Have you ever wondered if the nuts you're eating every day could actually be hurting your health, especially after 60? I'm Dr. Justin Keller, and today we're talking about something that seems small, but could be silently impacting your heart, your memory, your joints, even your energy. The kind of nuts you snack on. In this video, I'll walk you through 4 common nuts you should avoid, and why they may be doing more harm than good. Then I'll show you 4 better options, nutrient-rich, anti-inflammatory choices that can actually support your aging body and mind. We'll also talk about how your nutritional needs change after 60, how to actually read labels when you shop, and what your body is trying to tell you after you eat certain foods. I'll share real advice from years of experience helping older adults live longer, healthier, and more independent lives. The first nut we cover might surprise you, and it's probably sitting in your pantry right now. Make sure to watch all the way to the end, because the first nut I mention is the one I see causing the most problems in my patients, and it's one many people believe is healthy. While you're here, tap that like button and subscribe to Glowing Age. It helps me keep making these important lessons for those of you navigating this stage of life with care and clarity. And in the comments, let me know, what city are you watching from? I'd love to see where this Glowing Age community is growing. Let's get into it. The common nuts that can cause more harm than good after 60. Did you know that something as innocent as a handful of nuts could be silently working against your health, especially after 60? As a urologist, I've seen this come up more often than you'd think. A patient tells me they're eating clean fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and then casually mentions they snack on nuts every day. It sounds healthy, right? But the kind of nuts, how they're processed, and how much you eat can make all the difference between protecting your body or slowly straining it. Let's start with one of the most commonly misunderstood, peanuts. Technically, peanuts aren't even nuts, they're legumes. And while they're affordable and familiar, they come with a problem, aflatoxins. These are toxic compounds produced by molds that often grow on peanuts during storage. Long-term exposure to aflatoxins has been linked to liver damage and even cancer. Now, in younger adults, your body may filter that out over time. But after 60, your liver doesn't detoxify quite as efficiently. And if you're taking medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes, that added liver strain isn't something you want. But it's not just the mold. Peanuts also tend to be roasted in processed oils, often omega-6 heavy oils like soybean or cottonseed oil. That drives up inflammation in the body, especially when consumed daily. And for men and women in their 60s and 70s, chronic inflammation is a known contributor to everything from joint pain to heart disease and even cognitive decline. Next up, cashews. I see a lot of seniors reach for cashews because they're creamy and satisfying, but they're also high in oxalates. Oxalates are natural compounds found in some foods that can interfere with calcium absorption and contribute to the formation of kidney stones. If you've had stones in the past, or if your kidney function is already declining, which happens to many people gradually with age, high oxalate foods like cashews can quietly add to that burden. On top of that, most commercial cashews are not raw. They're roasted in vegetable oils and heavily salted. For seniors managing high blood pressure or cardiovascular risk, excess sodium is a real concern. You may not notice the effects right away, but over time it adds up. Then we have macadamia nuts. Now I'll admit, macadamias are delicious. But here's what many people overlook. They're extremely calorie-dense and low in protein. A small handful can contain as many as 200 calories with very little satiety. What does that mean for you? It means you could be overeating without even realizing it. And if weight gain or sluggish metabolism has been creeping in lately, macadamias could be part of the picture. Here's the real kicker. Macadamia nuts are low in fiber and higher in saturated fat compared to other nuts. That doesn't make them bad, but they're certainly not ideal as a daily snack for seniors who want to keep their cardiovascular health on track. And finally, flavored or mixed nuts. Those popular store-bought blends that promise taste and variety. These are a health trap. Most of them are laced with additives, artificial flavorings, sugar coatings, preservatives, and unhealthy oils. You'll often find things like MSG, maltodextrin, or corn syrup solids hiding in the ingredients list. For older adults, especially those watching blood sugar or managing cognitive health, these additives are known disruptors. Even the nuts that start out healthy, like almonds or pecans, lose their benefits once they're coated in sugar or roasted in cheap oils. And again, sodium is a major concern. Some flavored nut mixes contain nearly 20% of your daily sodium allowance in just one serving. What I want you to take away from this is simple. Not all nuts are created equal. And once we hit 60 and beyond, our body's ability to process fats, detox compounds, and regulate blood pressure and weight becomes more delicate. The wrong nuts, eaten regularly, can quietly undermine your efforts to stay well. They may be marketed as heart-healthy or brain-boosting, but when you look closer, at the additives, the oil quality, the processing methods, you start to see the hidden risks. In my practice, I've seen patients improve their blood pressure, kidney function, and even joint pain, simply by swapping out processed or high-risk nuts for better options. It's not about restriction. It's about choosing foods that truly support you in this phase of life. Now that we've looked at the ones to avoid, let's talk about the good ones. Nut choices that actually enhance your health, support your memory, and keep your energy strong. The 4 healthiest nuts to support aging bodies and brains. Now let's talk about the nuts that deserve a place in your daily routine. The ones I often recommend to my own patients in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. These aren't just tasty snacks. These are evidence-backed foods that can support your heart, brain, bones, and even your longevity. Let's begin with walnuts. If I had to choose one nut to recommend above all others for aging adults, it would be walnuts. They're one of the richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, a type of omega-3 fatty acid that supports cardiovascular health and helps reduce inflammation. Inflammation, as we've discussed, is a silent driver behind so many age-related conditions, from arthritis to memory loss. But what makes walnuts really powerful is their neuroprotective effect. A study published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease found that regular walnut consumption was associated with better cognitive function in older adults. In other words, this isn't just about your heart. It's about your mind staying clear and sharp, too. Next, almonds. Almonds are one of the best nuts for bone health, something that becomes increasingly important as we age. They're rich in magnesium, calcium, and vitamin E. That trio supports bone density, nerve function, and skin health all at once. Magnesium, in particular, helps regulate muscle and nerve function, which can reduce those annoying nighttime leg cramps many of my patients complain about. What's more, almonds have been shown to help stabilize blood sugar levels. That's key for older adults managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. The fiber, healthy fats, and plant protein in almonds all work together to slow digestion and prevent glucose spikes. A small handful a day, around 20 to 24 almonds, is plenty. Just be sure to choose raw or dry roasted, unsalted versions. That way, you avoid the sodium and hidden oils that defeat the purpose. Now let's talk about pistachios. Pistachios are often underrated, but they pack a lot of benefits into a small shell. They're high in protein, fiber, and lutein, a compound known for supporting eye health. As we age, our risk of age-related macular degeneration increases. Lutein and zeaxanthin, also found in pistachios, can help protect the retina and support long-term vision. They're also one of the best nuts for heart health. Pistachios are rich in phytosterols and arginine, which can help lower LDL cholesterol and improve blood flow. That means they support not just your heart, but also circulation, which becomes important for everything from energy levels to sexual function in men. Bonus, because they're in the shell, pistachios take longer to eat. That naturally encourages mindful snacking, which can help prevent overeating. And lastly, Brazil nuts, but with a very specific caveat. Brazil nuts are incredibly rich in selenium, a trace mineral most people over 60 aren't getting enough of. Selenium is essential for thyroid function, immune health, and may even play a role in mood regulation. In fact, low selenium levels have been linked to increased risk of depression, which is more common in older adults than many realize. But here's the important part. A little goes a long way. Just 1 to 2 Brazil nuts per day provides all the selenium you need. More than that can lead to selenium toxicity over time, so this is one case where moderation isn't just good advice. It's critical. When patients make the switch to these four nuts, walnuts, almonds, pistachios, and Brazil nuts, I often see small but meaningful changes. Blood pressure stabilizes, mental clarity improves, bloating decreases. They feel a bit more in control of their health without having to overhaul their diet completely. What matters most is quality. Look for nuts that are raw or dry roasted, unsalted, and packaged without added oils or preservatives. Organic, when possible, is ideal, especially for walnuts and almonds, which can absorb pesticide residues. It's a simple shift, but it's one of those small, daily choices that can quietly build a stronger, more resilient body over time. And that's really what aging well is about, not perfection, but consistent care. Every snack is an opportunity to support your health. Every handful can either deplete or replenish you. Now let's move on to why our bodies respond differently to these foods after 60, and how understanding that can help us make even smarter choices. Why nutritional needs shift after 60. The truth is, the way your body responds to food at 65 is not the same as it did at 45, and certainly not at 25. This isn't just about metabolism slowing down or needing fewer calories. It goes much deeper, and understanding why these shifts happen is key to making choices that protect your long-term health. First, let's talk about muscle loss, what we call sarcopenia. Around the age of 60, your body naturally begins to lose muscle mass at a rate of about 1% per year if you're not actively working to preserve it. And here's the part most people miss. Your body becomes less efficient at using the protein you eat to maintain that muscle. This means that simply eating enough isn't enough anymore. You need higher quality protein, and you need to make sure your meals are built in a way that maximizes absorption. That's why nuts like pistachios and almonds, which contain both protein and essential amino acids, can be valuable. They're not a replacement for meat or legumes, but they help fill in the gaps, especially for seniors with smaller appetites or difficulty chewing traditional proteins. Next, digestive changes. As we age, our stomachs produce less stomach acid. That affects how we break down and absorb nutrients like vitamin B12, calcium, iron, and magnesium. If you've ever wondered why you can eat all the right foods and still come up deficient in something, this might be the reason. Certain nuts, like almonds, are especially helpful here. They're a good source of magnesium and help maintain digestive regularity. That's important because slower digestion often leads to bloating or constipation in older adults, something I see all the time in clinic and rarely gets talked about. And then there's hydration. Believe it or not, as you get older, your sense of thirst becomes less reliable. Many older adults are mildly dehydrated without even knowing it. This affects everything, from energy levels and blood pressure to kidney function and even mental clarity. Some nuts, like pistachios, contain a bit more potassium, which can help balance hydration levels when paired with adequate water intake. But more importantly, salty or processed nuts can exacerbate dehydration and make conditions like high blood pressure worse. That's why choosing unsalted, clean versions isn't just a preference, it's a protective measure. Let's also talk about inflammation, one of the biggest hidden drivers of aging. Inflammation isn't always something you feel. It doesn't always show up as swelling or pain. Sometimes it's silent, working behind the scenes to damage blood vessels, reduce insulin sensitivity, or impair brain function. This is called chronic low-grade inflammation, and it's common in older adults, especially those with diets high in processed foods or low in antioxidants. This is where the right nuts come in. Walnuts, for example, are rich in polyphenols and omega-3s, two powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. They help calm that quiet internal fire. Almonds, with their vitamin E, protect cell membranes and help reduce oxidative stress, a major factor in conditions like Alzheimer's and cardiovascular disease. And finally, let's talk about medications. Most adults over 60 are on at least one prescription medication, often more. And medications, while necessary, can alter nutrient absorption, liver function, and how your body processes fats and sugars. Certain blood pressure meds, for example, can deplete potassium or magnesium. Cholesterol drugs can impact liver enzymes. This is where nutrition becomes more than just fuel. It becomes therapy. Choosing foods that support organ health, balance electrolytes, and provide micronutrients that medications deplete. That's a form of daily self-care that most people underestimate. Nuts may seem small, but they're concentrated. A handful of the right kind gives you healthy fats, fiber, protein, and critical minerals, all in one bite. But the wrong kind, especially when salted, candied, or processed, can work against your body's efforts to stay balanced and strong. This is the phase of life where every bite matters more. Not in a fearful way, but in an empowering way. You have the ability to support your body, your memory, your independence, just by making smarter, more informed food choices. So the shift after 60 isn't about giving things up. It's about getting more nourishment, more clarity, more strength from what you choose to put on your plate. And nuts, when chosen wisely, can be one of your simplest, most effective tools. Next, let's look at how to shop smart and avoid the traps that even health-conscious seniors fall into. How to shop and snack smarter with nuts. Knowing which nuts to eat is one thing, but how you buy, store, and snack on them makes just as much of a difference, especially after 60. Over the years, I've seen so many older adults do the right thing by choosing healthier foods, only to fall into silent traps at the grocery store or kitchen pantry. Let's fix that. Let's start in the grocery aisle. When you're shopping for nuts, your eyes should go straight to the ingredient list. And yes, I mean ingredient list, even for something as basic as almonds or walnuts. You'd be surprised how many products labeled natural or healthy are packed with added oils, sugars, and preservatives. Here's what you want to avoid. Added oils, especially vegetable oil, canola oil, or cottonseed oil. These are high in omega-6 fatty acids, which promote inflammation when not balanced by omega-3s. Sugar, watch for honey-roasted, glazed, or sweet chili versions. Even a small amount of added sugar can spike blood sugar, especially in older adults with insulin resistance. Preservatives, look out for BHT, TBHQ, and other artificial stabilizers. These are used to extend shelf life but can put added stress on the liver, something we don't need as we age. What should be on the label? One word: nuts. That's it. Choose raw, dry roasted, or lightly toasted nuts with no salt or sugar added. That might sound bland if you're used to flavored snack mixes, but once your palate resets, you'll start to appreciate the real, earthy flavor of the nut itself, and your body will thank you for it. Now let's talk about portion size. Nuts are nutrient-dense, which is a good thing, but that also means they're calorie-dense. A small handful goes a long way. I usually recommend about 1 ounce per day. That's roughly 23 almonds, 14 walnut halves, 49 pistachios in shells, just 1-2 Brazil nuts because of selenium content. You can also think of it this way. Your serving should fit into the palm of your hand, not your full fist. This isn't about restriction, it's about balance. At this stage of life, we want food that nourishes, not overwhelms. And here's something I often emphasize to my patients. Don't snack mindlessly. If you sit down with an open bag of mixed nuts while watching TV, you're likely to eat 2, maybe 3 servings without realizing it. Instead, pre-portion your nuts into small containers or snack bags for the week. Treat them like medicine, a little each day intentionally. Now let's talk storage. Nuts contain natural oils, and those oils can go rancid if they're exposed to heat, light, or air. That rancidity isn't just a matter of taste. It creates oxidized fats, which are harmful to your cells and increase inflammation. So here's the rule. Store your nuts in the refrigerator or freezer, especially if you buy in bulk. Keep them in airtight glass containers when possible, and always check for a slightly sour or bitter smell before eating. Freshness matters. If you're on a fixed income, you don't need to buy everything organic. But for nuts with thin skins like almonds or walnuts, organic is worth considering when it's within budget. Pesticide residues can accumulate in those softer skins, and long-term exposure can be harmful, especially to the liver and nervous system. One smart strategy is to buy from bulk bins at trusted health food stores, where you can purchase just what you need for a week or 2. That way, your nuts stay fresher, and you don't waste money on large containers that sit around going stale. Let's quickly talk about how to eat nuts for maximum benefit. Instead of eating them on their own, try pairing nuts with other whole foods to slow digestion and support blood sugar balance. Some ideas I recommend to my older patients: a handful of almonds with a few apple slices, a small bowl of plain Greek yogurt topped with chopped walnuts, pistachios paired with carrot sticks or cucumber slices, one Brazil nut with your morning smoothie or oatmeal. These combinations help keep you fuller longer, reduce cravings, and support steady energy. More importantly, they help your body use the nutrients from those nuts in a more effective, balanced way. And finally, don't fall for the healthy trail mix myth. Most commercial trail mixes contain more candy than nutrition. Dried fruits often have added sugars. Chocolate chips and yogurt-covered raisins spike insulin, and the nut-to-sugar ratio is completely off. If you want trail mix, make it yourself. Raw almonds, a few unsweetened cranberries, some pumpkin seeds, and maybe one square of dark chocolate broken into pieces. That's real food. Making these small but powerful shifts in how you shop and snack with nuts can quietly transform how you feel. Less bloating, more clarity, better energy, and a stronger foundation for long-term health. Now, let's step back for a moment and talk about something bigger: how your body speaks to you as you age, and how food is one of the clearest, most direct forms of communication. Real talk, your body is speaking. Are you listening? You may not realize it, but every day your body is sending you messages, quiet signals about what's working and what isn't. And at this stage of life, those signals are more important than ever. Here's the hard truth I often share with my patients: if you don't listen when the body whispers, you may have to hear it when it starts to shout. That fatigue you've been brushing off, that foggy thinking that comes and goes, the way your joints ache more after certain meals, these aren't just signs of getting older. Often, they're your body's way of asking for help. Food is a conversation. Every bite you take is sending a message to your cells, either one of support and healing or one of stress and confusion. And while that may sound dramatic, the science behind it is very real. Take inflammation, for example. I mentioned it earlier, but let's go deeper. When you eat foods your body doesn't tolerate well, whether that's sugar-coated nuts, heavily processed snacks, or artificial additives, your immune system often treats those substances as irritants. And when irritation becomes chronic, your body starts to react as if it's under constant threat. That can show up as pain, stiffness, brain fog, digestive issues, poor sleep, or simply a sense of not feeling like yourself. But on the other hand, when you consistently feed your body nutrient-rich, anti-inflammatory foods, like raw walnuts, almonds, and vegetables, you're sending the opposite message. You're telling your body, you're safe, you're nourished, you can heal. I've seen patients in their late 60s or 70s turn things around in small, but profound ways, just by listening more closely to these signals. One man started swapping his nightly bowl of mixed salted peanuts for a handful of raw walnuts and Greek yogurt. Within weeks, his digestion improved, his energy picked up, and most importantly, he noticed the difference. That awareness gave him motivation, not because a doctor told him to eat better, but because his own body proved that it mattered. That's the shift I want you to experience, not just knowing what's healthy, but feeling it. If you find that certain foods leave you feeling bloated, gassy, sluggish, or irritable, don't ignore it. Your body isn't being difficult, it's being honest. And the beautiful thing is, when you start listening, the body often responds very quickly. Now, I'm not here to tell you to cut out every food that brings you joy. I believe deeply in enjoying what you eat, but I also believe in enjoying how you feel after you eat. Ask yourself this simple question at the end of a meal: do I feel nourished, or do I feel drained? If you feel lighter, clearer, or more satisfied, not just full, you're probably on the right track. But if you feel tired, puffy, or even a little irritable, your body might be nudging you toward a better choice. And here's something else: the older we get, the more our body rewards consistency over perfection. You don't have to overhaul your diet overnight. Start small. Switch from flavored nuts to raw ones. Cut down from a full bag to a small handful. Replace one processed snack with a real food option you enjoy. You'd be amazed what happens when your body starts to trust you again. Because at this stage of life, you've already proven your resilience. You've already weathered decades of change, loss, growth, and healing. Now you deserve to feel strong, clear-headed, and energized, Not just surviving, but truly glowing. And the good news is it's not too late, not by a long shot. Whether you're 60, 70, or 80, your body is still capable of improvement, still capable of healing, and still listening to the care you give it. The food you choose isn't just about calories or nutrients. It's about respect, about partnership. You and your body working together for the years ahead. So the next time you reach for a snack, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, not out of fear, but out of curiosity, what is this food saying to my body? And even more importantly, what is my body saying back? That's where the real wisdom of aging begins. Not in rules or restrictions, but in relationship. Between you and your body. Between you and your future. And with every thoughtful bite, you're writing the next chapter of that story with more clarity, strength, and peace than ever before. So now you know, not all nuts are created equal, especially as we get older. Some can quietly increase inflammation, strain your kidneys, or raise your blood pressure, while others can fuel your brain, support your heart, and help you feel steady, strong, and satisfied. You've learned which nuts to avoid, which ones to embrace, how your body's needs shift after 60, and how to snack smarter without giving up flavor or enjoyment. But the most important takeaway is this. Your body is speaking to you. The way you feel after you eat, that's information. And the better you listen, the better you live. If this video helped you, please like it and subscribe to Glowing Age. It truly supports the channel and helps me continue sharing these vital insights for aging with strength, wisdom, and dignity. And remember, you're not just getting older. You're getting sharper. You're refining what works. You're glowing in new, powerful ways. Thanks for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next video.